Hello and welcome to Pock and Rob. This video has been inspired by another one that I saw on YouTube recently, ranking top 15 3-album runs. You know me, I can't usually stop at 15. I'm going to be doing a top 20 3-album runs by artists. These must be studio albums, not including lives or compilations. Before I go in, I would remind you to subscribe if you've not already done so, to hit the thumbs up to like the video, the bell to receive notifications of future content, and share the video with someone who may like it. I am keen that we continue to grow beyond our current numbers. I think we're on 191 subscribers, and when we get to 250, I'm going to do another live stream of something special. So let's go in with my position at number 20, and I think this might be the only female artist I've got on the list. It's Suzanne Vega, and for me, I really enjoy the 3-album run of 99.9 Fahrenheit Degrees and 9 Objects of Desire, both of which were produced by her then husband Mitchell Froom, and then the album that she wrote and recorded after their marriage broke down, which is Songs in Red and Grey. Number 20, Suzanne Vega. Number 19, Paul McCartney. In the twilight of his career, I think he had a triptych of albums that are absolutely fantastic, and that is New. I love New. I think it's a really strong album. Egypt Station, which is one of, for me, his top 5 albums of his entire career. And then McCartney 3. The one that's got universal acclaim when he released that at the end of 2020 after the COVID lockdown. And number 18 is Foot of the Mountain, Cast in Steel and True North by a-ha. Again, a late career renaissance. I like a-ha a lot, but I've got to admit, several of their albums are a bit flat. a-ha, Foot of the Mountain, Cast in Steel and True North at number 18. And number 17, Elton John. Now, there is a 4-album run for me of Elton John's brilliance. And arguably, some people will probably say a 6-album run, but I'm going to go with Honky Chateau and Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. Now, it's up to you whether you want to put Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which most people would, as the third of that triptych, or to actually go before Honky Chateau for Madman Across the Water, which is my favourite Elton John album. I'm picking that latter. Madman through to Piano is an absolutely fantastic 3-album run. If I ever properly grew to love Tumbleweed Connection, you know what, I'd probably say there are 2 3-album runs in a row. But for me, it's Madman through to Piano. At number 16, and Bruce Springsteen. And Nebraska, an incredibly stripped down vocal, guitar and harmonica album that he then took some of the songs from this prolific recording that he made of about 40 tracks and bandified them, and they became Born in the USA, which is number 2 on this run. And then finally, probably just my favourite Springsteen album, Tunnel of Love. That is a 3-album run of incredible quality for me. At number 15, Kraftwerk. And for me, the album run that goes from Trans-Europe Express from 1977, I believe. Then The Man Machine, which I think is a masterwork, from 1978. And then in 1981, they had Computer World. Those 3 albums are just so strong as a run. And number 14, David Bowie. And I'm starting this off with 1976's Station to Station. Station to Station is a great, great album. And apparently Bowie doesn't really recall recording it because he was out of his face on cocaine so much. As he kind of came cold turkey out of that, we got the album Low, which he made with Brian Eno. To conclude was Heroes, again with Brian Eno. Now, I don't think Heroes is a patch on Low. And number 13, it is Richard Thompson. Now, I've broken the rule here a little bit because the first of these albums is my second favourite album of all time, and it's Richard and Linda Thompson's Shoot Out the Lights. However, there is more Richard on here than there was on other Richard and Linda Thompson albums in terms of his singing. It's then followed up by his second proper solo album, which is Hand of Kindness. There's even tracks on here that were done in 1980 in the original version of Shoot Out the Lights with Jerry Rafferty. And then we have Across the Crowded Room. Again, we're looking at a peak at the start and then it tips off a little bit. But again, all three albums are outstandingly good. And number 12, Elvis Costello. And this is an example of a hump. I think the first album is great, the second album is phenomenal, and the third album is great. And this is My Aim Is True, This Year's Model, and Armed Forces. I could theoretically have extended even further with Get Happy and Trust, but for me, that 2.5 years box set contains 3 phenomenal back-to-back albums. And number 11 is Queen. And if you've watched these videos before, you know what I think of Sheer Heart Attack. I think side 1 is brilliant and side 2 is bollocks. But there is a 3-album run. It doesn't start, as other people might say, with Sheer Heart Attack, which means that Queen 2 doesn't get included, which is my favourite Queen album. But it starts with Night at the Opera, their definitive statement, A Day at the Races, which is much more solid than you might have ever given it credit for, and then News of the World, which I actually think is possibly these days my second favourite Queen album. Just a shame about Get Down, Make Love, because the rest of News of the World is better than A Night at the Opera. So a weird little wobbly curve perhaps for Queen at number 11. Into my top 10, and at number 10 I've gone with Green Day. But where do I start? I have to admit I have not got into, and I do not like Insomniac. But I do like a lot Nimrod. And I like an awful lot Warning. I think American Idiot is a masterpiece, and I think it's in my top 10 albums of all time. And I really like 21st Century Breakdown. So pick either Nimrod through to American Idiot or Warning through to 21st Century Breakdown, and you've got something that I think sits at number 10. I don't matter which way you slice it, it would still end up at exactly the same place because of Warning and American Idiot. And number 9, Richard and Linda Thompson. This is the first artist on my list that has actually got 2 triple album runs of phenomenal quality. I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight, way up here. It's an absolutely terrific folk rock album. Hokey Pokey, a little bit further down, but still, I love listening to it. And then Pour Down Like Silver, which is almost to a level of I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight. It's a bit of a smiley face one again. Richard and Linda Thompson, Bright Lights, Hokey Pokey, and Pour Down Like Silver. At number 8, Muse. And for me, their triple album run starts with the outstanding Absolution. It runs through Black Hole's Revelation, which I think is the low point of the 3, and then picks back up again with Resistance, which at one point I didn't like, and I probably would have put Black Holes above it, but that's changed since I did my Muse ranking. Again, another smiley face. Absolution and Resistance bookending this triple album run. And number 7, and I toyed with where to start this particular run, and you know what? There might be a change to come in this in years to come. But it's Led Zeppelin with Untitled, or Led Zeppelin 4, or Zoso, or Four Symbols, whatever you call it. Houses of the Holy, and the double album Physical Graffiti. What quality. Now, the reason this could change is I've grown to really, really like Led Zepp 2 recently. And I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Zepp 3. You never know. If I really get into, and I think it's probable, Zepp 1, I might have a second run here. And they would be pretty high up, that Zepp 1, 2, 3, if I really capture Zepp 1. Led Zeppelin 4 through to Physical Graffiti. At number 6, it is, again, this could be extended to 4, but it's Pink Floyd. Dark Side of the Moon from 1973, I Wish You Were Here, 75, and Animals from 77. And it could be extended because of The Wall, but if I were to extend it to the wall, I have to chop off Dark Side for the 3-0, and that is by far the best of the 4 albums, and so it has to start with Dark Side. And sorry, the wall misses out, and because Final Cut's terrible, it ends there. Number 6, Pink Floyd with Dark Side of the Moon through to Animals. At number 5, this is often cited as the greatest 3-album run ever by some people. I beg to differ, as you'll see, because I've got 4 above it, but it is Bringing It All Back Home, Highway 61 Revisited, and Blonde on Blonde. This is Bob Dylan's Purple Patch, the big hair period, and this is a bit of a frowny face one, because I think Bringing It All Back Home is really good. Highway 61 is comfortably my favourite of that. In fact, in my recent Bob Dylan albums ranking, I ended up putting Highway 61 at number 1, and then Blonde on Blonde. But it's peerless stuff, really, isn't it? At number 4, doesn't end up in these rankings, but blooming well should. It's The Kinks, and something else by The Kinks from 1967, which was a bit of a flop album. We Are the Village Green Preservation Society, which was a total flop album, and Arthur, or the Decline and Fall of the British Empire, which was an even more total flop album. They are all 3 brilliant songwriting, brilliant playing, brilliant singing, and all 3, not just Village Green, deserve to be far better known. Again, frowny face one, because Village Green is the pinnacle point of the whole of the Kinks' career, let alone this 3-album run. Number 3, there would be an argument to be made for this artist standing alone as a near perfect 7-album run. It's not the Beatles, it's Iron Maiden. What I've picked here is Power Slave from 84, Somewhere in Time from 86, which would not have made this list 2 years ago, and Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. This is, it's a smiley face one again, because I think Somewhere in Time is a little bit lesser than those other 2. Other people would probably bring in Peace of Mind, Number of the Beast, and the 2 Paul Di'Anno albums, because like I say, that 7-album run in the 80s is almost unmatched, I think. Certainly in metal, probably in rock. And number 2, the second appearance by this artist, it's David Bowie. And I don't like Aladdin Sane. But you know what I do like a lot? The Man Who Sold the World, aka Metrobolist. My 3-album run here is 1970's Man Who Sold the World, 71's Hunky Dory, and 72's Ziggy Stardust. Again, frowny face, because Hunky Dory is the heart of that run. David Bowie, number 2. And at number 1, you knew they were coming. It is the Beatles. And this is the unbeatable triple album run of all time. I don't think anybody can beat this. And in fact, I think in the video I watched, they put this at number 1 as well. Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I would argue that that might be the most perfect trio of albums ever. If I were to, I debated long and hard with this one about, I could have put in more than one 3-album run of the Beatles. Some would do so. I love Help. I could take Help through to Revolver as one set, and that probably would have come in at number 4 or something like that. And then taken Sgt. Pepper, the White Album, and Abbey Road. Because I would argue Magical Mystery Tour is a compilation, and Yellow Submarine isn't really a Beatles album. It's a Beatles EP. But I've got to be honest, they are all part of the official Beatles canon. And so I've ended up with that. Interesting, I wonder where I would have put Sgt. Pepper, White Album, Abbey Road. I think that would have probably taken the number 1 spot, actually. Because Abbey Road is almost certainly my favourite album ever. So that concludes my video doing the 3-album runs. I'd love to know in the comments below, what other great, truly great 3-album runs do you think are out there? And it all comes down to personal taste about what you think about particular albums. I will be back soon with another video, but until then I would remind you to subscribe, like, hit the bell, share the video, and get more subscribers so we can do another great live stream video. I actually often watch my own videos back, and the other day I ended up watching my live stream from January this year back again, and actually I really enjoyed watching myself, which I think is that kind of narcissism? I don't know. But please do all of that, share and everything, and I will see you next time.